Back to Miller. Oh my goodness.
Herbert, sidearm sling, and it's a touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, good spin move by Filipowski for the news. Give him 9.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Beef Up Front podcast here on Pick Swap Media, our weekly show, NFL Big Five Games of the Week. Your host, Ryan Coyle, joined alongside Kevin Cannon for another week of the show and another week of the NFL. Last week, week two, a lot more exciting, higher scoring games we saw rather than week one, but still seeing some teams struggle out of the gate, seeing a few surprise teams. We're going to get into all of that and more on today's show. But as always, Kevin, welcome back, reporting live from Chicago today. Any reports on the Bears out there?
Justin Fields is not the guy, is the word around town.
Yeah, that's been an ugly start so far for Chicago. I mean, I think people at least expected them to be 1-1 at this point, but that's going to be one of the main talking points, especially with all the good quarterbacks coming out in this class and the Bears having 2 first-round picks this year. He's going to have a lot to prove the rest of the season. But we'll put the Bears talk to the side for now with their 0-2 play. We'll recap week 2 first with our picks. I had a bounce-back week last week after really struggling week 1. I went 11-4 last week. Our picks for our standings are for straight up 4-1, 3-2 against the spread, and 4-1 on the total, getting me to 11-4. And then our dog of the day and our lock of the weeks are our bonus picks. I went 0-1. My dog of the day with the Texans, and 0-1 on my lock of the week with a Dallas Goedert touchdown. Got a lot of targets, but just didn't find the end zone. Kev, you went 8-7, 3-2 straight up, 3-2 against the spread, and 2-3 on your totals, and then 1-0 on your dog of the day, hitting on the Commanders with that comeback win over the Broncos, and then 0-1 on your lock of the week with the Chargers. Normally, you would never bet on the Chargers, but that's what you get for doing that, losing your bet.
Tune in a little bit below, and you'll hear my opinions about them.
All right, so we will hit the games. Our first week where we're not hitting on the Thursday game, which is 49ers-Giants. That one should be a blowout this week. So we'll go right to Sunday with one of the surprise teams so far with the Falcons at 2-0, traveling to the Lions at 1-1, coming off a home loss to the Seahawks. 1 o'clock kick on Fox. Lions are a 3-point favorite in this one at home. Over-under is 46.5.
You got the Lions 34, Falcons 27, so the Lions covering, the over 46.5 hidden. The Falcons have been impressive to start the season, and their offense does have a ton of weapons all over the place. Bijan looks like just a highlight machine. Every time I look at my phone, I feel like I'm seeing him just making someone look stupid. And Desmond Ritter's doing a decent job just getting the ball out to his playmakers. I think the Lions are a more complete team, though, and they've kind of been building up to this year for a little bit now, where it seems more like the Falcons are what the Lions were 2-3 years ago. And the Lions defense has impressed me more, and I think they'll just be able to rough up Ritter a little bit in the passing game. He still has not proven that the ability to just consistently drive the ball down the field. It's a little more dink and duck. And I think this can lead to the Lions to crowd the line and just get their pass rush after Ritter.
I like the Lions to win this one in a bounce-back game too, Kev, 31-24. So I'll take Lions -3 and over 46.5. So same picks for us across the board. 2 teams that I did predict to win the division this offseason. Wouldn't be surprised based off of the way they both played the first 2 weeks to see them both in the playoffs still. I mean, the way that they've played hasn't really changed my opinion on them. Both young, talented teams on the rise. I think we could see them in the mix in the next year or so as a legit NFC contender. Ritter, as you were saying, Kev, hasn't put up great stats yet. Only has 352 passing yards and 3 total touchdowns through 2 weeks, but he has led his team to victory, and he's now 4-2 as an NFL starter. When you look at his time in college, I believe he was 26-4 as a college starter, now 4-2 as an NFL starter. He just finds ways to win games. So if he goes out there, takes care of the football, and this running game continues to play like we saw it last year with Arthur Smith and Tyler Algier leading the way, and then now this year throwing in Bijan Robinson, as you said, has already been a highlight machine. They're legit offense, I think. They just need to get a little bit more going in the passing game. But I think the Lions are more explosive and well-balanced at this stage of the season and with the way that their program's running right now. I don't think the Falcons can go kind of score for score and are still limited with that passing game. So that leads me to taking the Lions in this one. Lions, I think, need this one too after dropping their home opener to the Seahawks last week. There's a lot of hype and buzz around that game, and they fell short. to a Seahawks team that was coming in kind of desperate after losing their season opener to the Rams. The difference in this game might be the rushing defense of Detroit versus the rushing offense of Atlanta, or what happens to the winning team in this one. Detroit's rush defense really strong, only allowing 86 yards per game, which is tied for 9th in the league. But they're going to be put to the test against the Falcons running game that has 4th most rushing yards per game in the league at 170.5. I think the Lions win this one, though, at home. Being at home, I think, is big for them in this bounce-back type spot. They're going to feel kind of the pressure from the fans in this one a little bit, force the Falcons to kind of look at their direction in the passing game and maybe fix some things up, just if they're able to stifle that run game a little bit and the passing game's not able to get cooking. So I'm going to go Lions to win and cover in this one, so Lions -3 and the over of 46.5. All right, we go to the 0-2 Bowl. We're calling this one the Chargers at 0-2. At the Vikings 0-2, 1 o'clock on Fox. Chargers are a 1-point road favorite here, over under 54. And you have to think, Kev, the loser of this one, most likely season's over already 3 weeks into the season. It's such an uphill climb from there.
Yeah, I got the Vikings ending the Chargers season. Vikings 31, Chargers 30. So the Vikings +1, the over of 54. The bottom falls out from underneath the Chargers here. They just need a good power washing, good, fresh, clean start. And that might start with Brandon Staley just no longer being their head coach. These teams are almost identical, actually. They have an above-average QB, pretty decent offensive weapons, actually really good offensive weapons for both of them, and a defense that's just not very good. I just don't trust the Chargers at all. I made the stupid mistake of believing in them last week, and they burned me before, but I'm just done with the Chargers now. I also just don't trust the Vikings that much, but I trust them a little bit more than the Chargers here. The Chargers have never proven that they're able to win close games, where Kirk and the Vikings did a little bit last year, even though it wasn't in the playoffs, but still during the regular season having the crazy stats in those one-score games. The Vikings wide receivers can make this into a track meet here like the Dolphins did against the Chargers in week 1. The Chargers didn't win that game, and I don't see them winning this one either.
Yeah, as a I won't say I'm a Chargers fan. I'm more so just a Justin Herbert supporter, believer. I kind of want them to lose this game because I'm with you. I think if they fall to 0-3, I think he gets fired after this game, and we see Kellen Moore the rest of the way. And I think whatever Kellen Moore can do will be better than Brandon Staley because he's just an idiot. So I'm kind of rooting for the Chargers to lose this game, and just for Brandon Staley to get fired to prevent any more damage to Justin Herbert's career, because they have, I think it's 40, or they've scored 58 points so far and 0 turnovers, and they've held late leads in games, and they've blown it both times because of the defense. And Brandon Staley is supposed to be a defensive coach. So this is a game I wouldn't be mad if the Chargers lost, but for the sake of believing in Justin Herbert, I can't take them to lose this one and fall to 0-3 and basically end their season. So give me Chargers 35, Vikings 33. Chargers win it on the road here. -1, over 54. I'm sure neither of these teams expected to be sitting at 0-2 after their first 2 games, but here now they are in desperation mode, already trying to save their season. Odds are really stacked against them if they fall in this one. I'm just disappointed in the Chargers and having faith in them again. It's probably just going to come back to bite me. And I know Herbert is starting to get shit on a little bit due to not having a great QB record, but 58 points with no turnovers and these late leads in games, but the defense giving up the lead again. He does deserve some blame, I think, for it, but still at the same time, the defense and the coaching staff, I think, have let him down time and time again. This might be my favorite over in terms of the point totals for the week. I think, as you were saying, Kev, both of these teams can get up and down the field and score a lot of points. Both teams have porous defenses, and I think this game is going to be up and down track meet style like you were talking about. Both teams playing with a certain level of desperation, knowing the chances to make the playoffs are slim to none after an 0-3 start. But I will reluctantly take Herbert to outduel Kirk Cousins here. But anytime I take the Chargers, they seem to let me down. So I'm not putting too much stock on the Chargers in this one. You can kind of hear the disappointment in my voice as we went on there. But give me the Chargers, -1, over 54. All right, we go to Green Bay now with the 2-0 Saints at the 1-1 Packers. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. Packers are a 2-point favorite. Over-under is 43.5. What are your thoughts on this game out at Lambeau Field?
I'm going to go Saints 21, Packers 20. So the Saints covering those 2 points they're getting. The under at 43.5 hit in. this was the game I struggled with the most. I really don't have a good grip on either of these teams. I'm not really sure what to make of either of them. I was originally going to pick the Packers, but switched last minute. I think the Saints, I switched because I think the Saints pass defense is very good. And even though Jordan Love has played well, he's still only completing 56% of his passes, and he's not playing any stellar defenses yet so far this season. So I think the Saints can really apply pressure. They have some shutdown corners that might be able to force some turnovers as well. And Derek Carr has been meh for the Saints, but I think I'm just going to trust him a little bit more than Jordan Love here.
I'm going to go against you here. I'm going to take the Packers being at home. I'll go 23-20, so Packers -2 and under 43.5. Saints are off to a slow start on offense, like you were touching on, Kev, as they're ushering in Derek Carr, playing without Kamara. Now Jamal Williams is hurt, but Olave is looking like a stud, and the defense is looking like a stud too. So they have some positives. I think they just got to clean some more things up. But the Packers had every chance last week in Atlanta to go to 2-0, but tripped up on the road against that Falcons team that is starting to look like they could be a potential playoff team. So maybe when we look back down the line in the season, we could say, wow, that was actually two of the more surprise teams in the league, with the Packers and the Falcons kind of going to the playoffs. I think these, though, are two evenly matched squads that are likely going to be fighting for division titles. Like, if the Lions win the division, I think it's going to be at like 9-8, 10-7. I could see this Packers team floating around there. Same thing with the Saints. I think it's going to be between, I know the Bucs are 2-0, but I'm not really buying too much stock in them long term. I think it's going to be Saints Falcons in that 9-8 to 10-7 type range as well. So two teams that maybe if they don't win the division could be in there for the wild card standings. But I do think the Saints in the trenches could cause some fits for Green Bay, but I also don't think this is a team that's talented enough to start out 3-0 and grab one on the road at Lambeau Field. That's never easy to do. Packers without Aaron Jones last week, still only lost by 1. If he is back and adds that extra element to this offense, I think they're going to be in good shape. I'm riding on the fact that he's going to be back and playing this one. So I'm going to take the Packers to move to 2-1. Even if he doesn't play, I think they could still squeak it out. But if he's back, he's just such a versatile option, both out of the backfield and in the running game. So give me the Packers here at home. Cover that -2 and under 43.5. All right, we go to Sunday night football, one of the old school rivalries in the NFL. We have the 1-1 Steelers at the 1-1 Raiders, 8:20 Sunday night football on NBC. Steelers are a 1-point road favorite here. What I had it at this morning, over under is 44. Give me your thoughts on this old school matchup, Kev.
I got Steelers 20, Raiders 17, so the Steelers -1, under a 44. The Josh McDaniels experiment 2.0 is just not going well, and I don't think it gets any better here. TJ Watt and the Steelers defense is legit. I think they'll be able to cause some turnovers on Jimmy G. Pittsburgh's defense showed up on Monday. They can create offense with their defense and kind of lift the burden off of Kenny Pickett because he hasn't been stellar or taking that leap this year that a lot of people were expecting him to. The Raiders defense is nothing special, so I think the Steelers offense will be able to do enough. You've been extremely inconsistent, but I think Najee Harris and Pickens can put together just a few decent drives that will be enough to beat the Raiders.
Yeah, I think this is one of the games where we're both on the under. I think this is going to be one of the uglier, lower scoring games. So really like the under in this one. I'll go Steelers 17, Raiders 14. When these two teams played last year in Pittsburgh, the Steelers squeaked out only a 13-10 victory. So this has a potential to be another ugly matchup. I think both teams come into the matchup at 1-1, but each have their fair share of flaws and each really haven't lit the world on fire despite that 1-1 record. Both teams are really struggling to run the football, with the Raiders, with Josh Jacobs back, only averaging 58 rushing yards per game, and the Steelers are only averaging 48 per game. That's going to put more pressure on the quarterbacks with Kenny Pickett and Jimmy Garoppolo to win with their arms, and I think both are suited to be more so game managers and rely on the run game and hopefully your defense to win games. When they're forced to go out there and throw the ball 30-plus times, that's where disaster kind of strikes for both of those guys, I think. So I think this one's going to come down to the turnovers. Which quarterback makes that dumb mistake late? We've seen Jimmy Garoppolo do that a lot in his career. The Steelers only have 2 turnovers on the year compared to the Raiders having 4. So combine that with Devontae Adams being a little banged up as well. Who knows if he's going to be 100%. I think the Steelers are going to go on the road here and steal one. Close, ugly game, but they get another sack from TJ Watt, who's looking like a potential defensive player of the year. Him And Micah Parsons right now are kind of leading the league at the top of that talk. But TJ Watt, 4 sacks already this year. I think he has a big one late in this one. So give me Steelers -1 and the under of 44 in this game. All right, our fifth and final game of the week. We go to Monday Night Football, the first leg of a doubleheader there, another doubleheader this week. We have the 2-0 Eagles. A lot of people expected that one, but they traveled to Tampa Bay to play the 2-0 Bucks. A lot of people did not see that one coming. 7:15 kick on ABC. Eagles are a 5.5-point road favorite here, and the over-under is 46.
I think Eagles winning by a touchdown, 27, Bucks 20. So the Eagles covering -5.5 over at 46. The Bucks are 2-0, but I'm just still not buying into them yet. I think this game will show the separation between them, the top tiers in the NFC, like the Eagles, the 49ers, and Cowboys. The Eagles still have not found their way in the passing game, but showed last week their run offense can be almost unstoppable at certain points. Nick Sirianni this week talked about how they do have the luxury of being able to win games literally just by running the ball down your throat while they continue to figure out the passing game. The Eagles' D-line has also looked pretty good at the start of the season. They've been causing some turnovers, getting pressure on the QBs they've been playing. And Baker's usually good for some turnovers, so I think the Eagles get some here. The Birds' offense still, I think, in this game is going to look a little inconsistent throughout the game, but the running game and the play of both lines, offense and defense for the Eagles, will be enough to overcome this Bucs team that has surprised a lot of people early.
I like the Eagles in this one too, Kevin. I like them to cover as well. I'm going to go Eagles 31, Bucks 20, so Eagles -5.5 and the over of 46. I think coming into this game, there's still a lot of questions to be answered by both of these squads. The Eagles are 2-0, but the media is making it sound like they're 0-2 and not impressed with their start at all, while the Bucks were viewed as many by like a bottom 5 team in the league coming into this season. And now they enter a Monday Night Football game against the reigning NFC champs at 2-0, a chance to kind of put the league on notice and move to 3-0 here. And the Eagles could gain a lot more doubters and be really viewed as in that tier below the 49ers and the Cowboys. So I think the Eagles have something to prove on this one. Another national TV game for them. Their first game, they had the prime or the afternoon slot, CBS slot with Jim Nantz and Romo with the Patriots game. And they had Thursday Night Football. Now they have Monday Night Football. So everybody's had a good look at the Eagles so far. This is their chance to really, I think, break out and give us all that more confidence that they are the team that we thought they were this offseason. So I'll go with the latter option there with the Eagles going down to Tampa Bay and finding a way to win 31-20. I think they found more of a groove in the second half, as you were talking about, running the football extremely well with DeAndre Swift. We'll see if that's sustainable with his injury history, but Eagles are also coming off a long rest too, and I would expect Bradbury to be back from that concussion in this one. Missed last week's game. That was a Thursday game. This one being a Monday. He's got those extra few days now to recover. I do say, though, in this one, keep an eye on the Eagles have struggled against the blitz in week 1 and 2. Belichick threw a lot at them. Last week, Brian Flores of the Vikings threw a lot at them. Todd Bowles is a guy that loves to blitz. So if the Eagles aren't able to clean up their mistakes against the blitz so far, the Bucs have a legit chance in this one. I do not have enough faith in Baker Mayfield, though, to start 3-0, especially with the fact that he has 0 interceptions so far this season. As you were touching on, Kev, he is due for some. Eagles have 6 takeaways on the season, which is second best in the league. I expect Baker to give them a few, and that's really the difference in this one. So give me the Eagles 31, Bucs 20, Eagles -5.5, and the over of 46 hitting here. All right, we go to our last 2 segments of the day. The dog of the day, our outright money line winner. Looking at the board, I didn't really love anything here. I mean, there was a lot of games where I'm really in favor of the favorites in this one, so I don't think I'll take this money line, but I do like this spread. Commanders +6.5, +235 on the money line at home versus the Bills. So I was saying, don't love this play, but the defensive line for the Commanders is really good, and they can wreck some games. And if they're able to get to Josh Allen and force him into some dumb mistakes, turnovers, who knows what could happen. The Commanders started off 2-0, one of the surprise teams in the league so far. They're able to force Josh Allen into some turnovers, which we've seen from him a lot throughout his career. They certainly have a chance to win this one at home. So give me the Commanders there at +6.5, and don't be afraid to sprinkle on the money line at +235.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't really love a ton of the underdogs here. And I know in the big 5 games that we just talked about, we had the Steelers as a favorite, but I did just look on FanDuel, and it has them as underdogs now at +2.5. So if that is what you're able to get it at or anyone's able to get it at, I would definitely take that because we both did pick the Steelers to win outright, and that would be plus 112 on the money line. But other than that, yeah, I agree with you. I'm not a huge fan of any of the underdogs this week.
Okay, then we go to our lock of the week, our favorite bet on the board. I'm going to go with Jets-Patriots under of 37. I think it's going to be a really ugly game here on tap. Don't trust either quarterback, either offense. Both have really good defenses, and I think this one has like 17-13 written all over it. I mean, we saw the Patriots versus the Eagles and then versus the Dolphins didn't really light the world on fire. They're going to need to run the ball extremely well, and I don't think they'll be able to do that against this Jets front. And then Zach Wilson, I'm not trusting him to go out there and do much damage against a Bill Belichick coach defense and schemed up defense. So under 37, not a huge number, but I do think this is a super low scoring, ugly football game. So Jets, Patriots under 37 is my lock of the week.
My lock of the week is going to be Dolphins minus 6.5. I like what the Dolphins are doing on offense, and I just think they'll be able to win by more than a touchdown against the Broncos, outscore them, and Dolphins move to 3-0.
All right, if the Broncos and the Chargers both get off to 0-3 starts, who is it like a worse look on, you think? Because that would be pretty wild for two of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league.
I think it'll be worse for the Chargers. The Broncos can kind of play the card that it's Russ's issue, and they'll bring in someone new, and Sean Payton will hopefully be able to go with a new quarterback, where the Chargers, I don't know where they go.
All right, well, that'll do it for the NFL Big 5 games of the week. Hope to have another strong show, and we both went over 500 with our picks last week, so hope to continue to build off that. Enjoy the games this weekend, everyone. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and we'll talk next week.